These ideas first must be curbed down, because the fragrance spreads everywhere, whether you are English or anything. So the fragrance of a person develops through, first of all, the Ganesha principle within it. Ganesha principle is to be first of all seen to. Now, a Ganesha person is not a person who is absolutely remorse type, or a person who is such a gone case that even if you beat him up and make him into a complete mince thing, he will bear it. It's not that. It's not that. On the contrary, the quality of magnetism is such that it attracts you to a point where you are not disturbed. Now this is a very important point we should know. You see, if you have other love, like carnal love and all other love you have, then that love, you may attract the person, that person can destroy, and it destroys you, always. But this attraction does not destroy. It does not destroy. The attraction is up to that point that you are not destroyed, because you being much higher, much deeper and much weightier, you cannot be destroyed by a thing that whom you are attracting. Always a greater magnet attracts the smaller magnet. And that is what one should understand. This magic and this charismatic temperament of a person comes by, first of all, the Ganesha Tattva, innocence, and secondly, by complete dedication and devotion. Those who are completely dedicated and devoted to Mother, not to anything else, Ganesha Tattva again, not to your wife, not to your husband, not to your sister, not to your country, not to anyone but to Mother. Complete dedication gives you that charisma or that attraction. In Sahaja Yoga, such a person becomes really attractive, and such a person has a name. Now some people think that if you are Konadara, some people think that if you are a very passive person, and if anybody says anything to you and you don't mind, sort of a person, you are charismatic. It's not. People like you because they can dominate. They like you because they can dominate you. Now, if you think that by your aggressiveness and by your shouting and by your screaming and these people, you will achieve that charismatic temperament, you cannot. You cannot achieve that either. So, how do you achieve it? By becoming more innocent. Now, how innocence develops in a person is by not thinking about it. Like you see, somebody asked me, how do you manage your income tax? I said, by having no income at all. Then they asked me, how do you solve your car problem? By not having any car at all of my own. They said, what about your house problem? By having no house of my own. Nihi. Everything nihi for me. Say, how do you solve this problem? By not having it. Just not having it. Don't take up headaches upon yourself. See, when you take up headaches upon yourself, then only the innocence is released. That headaches like this, that this is my shawl, this is my sari, this is my thing, this is this, this is this, this is this. But only one thing is that this is my mother and I have to proclaim her. That's all. If that is the way it is, then innocence starts rising like Sri Ganesha, and by having no other headaches. This is mine, that is mine. This mind business causes the problem, I think. Personally, I think this must be the reason. That this mind business, this is mine, because whatever is mine. So somebody told me, this is a very good argument he gave. Whatever is mine is not I. Means that's not so. My body, my head, my everything mine. But I, He gave me this idea, I. What is I? Then I is separated. Whatever is not mine is I. So what remains is your spirit. Somebody gave me this argument. I said it's a very good argument to work it out. Then whatever remains is I. And that I is the one we have to see. So you go on reducing all these minds. So the pure spirit of innocence will rise. So the idea about spirit also, people think that if you become spiritual, I don't know what people think about spiritual people. But the idea about spiritual people is that you have to be something terrific like a bull, or I don't know, you have to be sharp like a fox, you have to be intellectual like Freud or something. All sorts of ideas people have. No, it is not. Spiritual person is just innocent. Just innocent. There is no intelligence, nothing, just innocent. The whole thing is innocence. See, whatever he talks or says comes through innocence. It doesn't have intellect as such, which people have through reading and through understanding and by analyzing. Nothing of the kind. It just has pure and simple innocence. And it all works out very well. It's so clean. It just says what it knows, and what it knows is the highest. So this deconditioning has to be brought within us. But you should not discuss it among yourself. Also, once you start discussing, then you see, it becomes sort of a theological argumentation. There is no theology about it. It's very simple. It's the simplest thing is to be innocent. But the innocence is lost. Why? Because our attention is in different ways. We are attentive to other things. We are looking at other things. You see. It's so simple, Today I was thinking, I have to buy 3 9-yard saris. A simple question I answered. Because there are 3 ladies who wear 9-yard saris and I have to give them 3 9-yard. That's all. I just thought of it. All right. I came here, I saw a very nice sari being put in. So I asked her, where do you get here? I said, all right. So we go and buy those 3 saris. No analysis, nothing of the kind. I just came into my mind, I have to buy 3 saris, finished. The answer is. So even the atmosphere is so innocent. The whole situation is so innocent that the solution is presented by innocence to innocence. The innocence works out in everything, you see, because everybody has little bit of innocence in everyone, isn't it? So it's like a 5th columnist, you see. The innocence is the 5th column within you. So if any person is innocent, you see, he'll work out on your 5th column and will make you alright. When you give bandhan to others, what happens? You actually bind him by your innocence. And the poor fellow doesn't know. He has his innocence within him. You capture that innocence. That's how you are there. That's how you mind. It's very simple to work out things. Only principle, the tattva, the whole thing rests on what that one is nothing but innocence. So try to develop this by all these things are neti, vachanai, gumo, avuchu. By saying not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, to all your thoughts, not this, not this, not this, not this. You reach there. Not mine, not mine, not mine, not mine. You reach there. And that is how it is. And you see the whole material world is now attacking the innocence because they are frightened. You cannot attack. Innocence cannot be destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. Innocence is something, is all pervading and it cannot be destroyed. So whatever people may try, it cannot be destroyed. But it can be covered. It can recede. But it cannot be destroyed. It will act its own way. So try to develop that innocence which is the basis of Mahalakshmi Tattva. We should say, or that is the essence of Mahalakshmi Tattva. So the outward thing is the weightage, the dignity, the behavior, everything. Is the outward thing, and the inside thing, the Tattva, the principle. on which it is based, is innocence. Now, if we understand Mahalakshmi, Tattva within us, how it has to work out, it's not intellectual. Again, I would say that I don't want you to project your intellect into it and to find out. But just remain where you are and you will find the answers just coming to you. Automatically. Just don't project your minds into it. Just you'll get all the answers to every question. Just like that. Because innocence in everyone is the simple answer. While all the complications drop out, the innocence is. And that is what is the love of God. Is the love of God. So, don't confuse this with love, with all your nonsensical love ideas you have about people and identification, misidentification. This is pure love within us, the purity, the innocence, which is love, and which is life itself, we should say, is a part of that, the Pranashakti. But Pranashakti is not Mahalakshmi. So Mahalakshmi is the essence of everything. Because if creation has to take place also, if desire of God is there, and if there is no Mahalakshmi Tattva, then what is the use of having the desire? It's finished. Supposing even if you have creation and you do not have the Mahalakshmi Tattva, how will you work it out? You cannot work it out. You have to have Mahalakshmi Tattva because they do not have any meaning. So outwardly it is Mahalakshmi Tattva, but inside is we can say there are three cores. The first core is Mahalakshmi Tattva, outside. To look at, you see the growth. All right. Then inside is the creation. That is all the elements being created and all that. But inside that is the desire. And inside the desire is the half one, you can say, is the Ganesha. So this Ganesha Tattva ultimately overpowers everything and permeates through everything. And this is, I would say, that don't think about it. Just allow your innocence to grow. Simple innocence and your dignity. That's very important to have your dignity. Like some people think if they wear torn clothes and walk about on the street, they are big sannyasis. It's wrong. Why? You are not being dignified. And God has given you so much. Why should you try to show that you haven't got anything, just to show off that you haven't got anything? God has given. This is just a sort of a thanks to God. That God, you have given me so much. You have to